Hello, hello, and welcome. So happy you are here. I'm delighted to be able to connect with you here on Facebook. This is truly a joyful place for me. My name is Dina Beth, and I am incredibly passionate about igniting romance. I believe that bringing out the best in our modern marriages is where it's at. I look at folks that are doing this and just have so much celebration in my heart because it is a labor of love and it is so much joy to be able to support folks in this amazing journey. My purpose is to bring the very best morsels from research to influence the way we see ourselves, the way we view men, the way we view, and even perceive, what it is that we're looking for in marriage. So it's so delightful to be here with you this evening. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you are coming in live, please type in where you're coming in from here in the chat. And if you're coming in on the replay, please type replay here in the chat. My name again is Dina Beth, and I am with the Queen Within Consulting. I am so excited to be able to have this conversation about what it is that we can do to create more connection in our relationships, to really get more peace into the mix. And I wanted to talk about what it is that really brought all of this in, brought this into fruition. What was the journey that created this? And it really started when I was 11, which is, gosh, what is that, 30 some years ago. So what I know is when I was 11 years old, I was sitting in a station wagon. So I have this amazing story. I don't know if you remember those station wagons where the back seat was always facing the back. My little sister, I have twin sisters, and they were talking about how they always got to see what was behind the car. I don't know, raise your hand if you know what those station wagons were like in the good old days, right? So what I know about the good old days is that we were kind of put into a kind of I don't know what you call it, but just a moment where it was just really, really intense. There was a lot of different things that were changing back in the 80s. For those of you that are in the 80s people. But when I discovered that my mom and dad were going through a divorce, I figured that anyone who had been married 2 decades had been pretty much married forever. And I couldn't imagine why they would be, calling it quits and how they could possibly not be loving each other. I don't know if any of you have experienced that, but I would love it if you would maybe, send one of those little hearts or something through the chat because you have a clue about how much that's not fun to watch your parents decide to call it quits. And the trouble with me in that journey is that I figured that there was this, I don't know, maybe it's just a story I made up. I'm sure it was because I'm still clearing the story out of my space. But I really came up with this story that I wasn't good enough and that my parents were broken and therefore I'm broken and therefore I'm not lovable. And that story stayed with me for a huge part of my life. I hate to admit it, but it's true. I remember wallowing in misery for quite a while. I mean, I was in foster care and my parents and my family kind of just went like marbles, just like scattered out. And I just set out at that point in my life after, like I said, wallowing for a while, I just really set out to be like this overachiever. So again, if you recognize that in you, we're just like, I'll freaking show them how it's done. I was absolutely determined. I was going to prove that I was good enough and that I absolutely could have a world where there was, I could create a world where there was healthy relationships. I could create a world where there was wealth. I could just show them how it's done, right? Maybe you recognize the story in yourself. So I became this like little overachiever, and from 11 years on, I was working extremely hard to get exceptional grades. I ended up starting a family in my early 20s, got several college degrees. I mean, I was all about like education and I'll show them how it's done, right? You probably recognize that in yourself a little bit. So by the time I'm 28 years old, it's not too far into the journey, but far enough to know, I walk into my home one day, I have it all. I'm an amazing wife. I just am. I have a beautiful home, really everything a person could want, right? I have this wonderful husband. I have great children that bring me so much joy. I have this incredible career that's going well. I worked hard for it. Problem is, I am so freaking miserable. In fact, I'm so unhappy that I find myself literally just like sucking on a bottle of booze and just like showing up to work late again. And this is just, I don't know, that this is like my moment of like, this sucks. I hate my life. And I'm holding on to like shreds, like strings of like what I want for my life. Um, it's not okay to be where I was at that point because I'd worked so swearward hard to get where I was, and I just simply wasn't happy. And I knew from having cancer at 21 years old that I just knew that, you know, my days were numbered, and I couldn't imagine the thought. I mean, like, it was impossible to even go there, that maybe I could like create more brokenness or more dysfunction or pick up the mean alcoholic, I don't know, mean spirited people that my parents just created quite a mess, to be honest. And I just was so like, I am not doing that to my kids. And so I literally brought like, I just like got the bottles and dumped them down the sink. And I don't know, so maybe you can relate, but I just really decided that I was going to prove to myself that I could create a marriage and a life that I must have for me. Kind of like I was telling my daughter recently, I have to know that I gave it all I had. I have to know that I have to know inside that I chose life, that I choose the very best version of life that it's humanly possible for me to create. I have to know that. And I want my children to know that, and I want my friends to know that I choose life, and I choose the best version of life that is humanly possible. And at that point in the game, I did not have the answers. I knew I'd worked hard to get where I was. Maybe you can relate. By the way, it's just water. I just knew that there had to be a way to get through this. And so I knew that there was a way to create the marriage that I wanted. I knew there was a way to get the life that I wanted. I knew that that was absolutely essential for not only me, but for my partner, for my children. So I headed off to another college degree thinking that might fix it, right? Well, I didn't quite get it all fixed. But there was a time, there was a day where I just said, enough of the 9 to 5 job. I let go of my so-called fabulous career. And I just felt like this really strong pull to do something more with the time that I had left. So there was a lot of heartbreak and a lot of sorrow that I've been carrying around since childhood that I never had really quite cleared out of my space. And it was absolutely time for me to make that transition, to make that, like, I don't know what I call it, this phoenix, where you just like, you melt it all down and you come back out, and there was this just huge transformation that happened. And there was a real deep knowingness that came out of all of that. And it was just literally choosing out of the 9 to 5 and just stepping into a quiet place of my own. And of course, tons of, I mean, gosh, I think I can't even tell you how many classes I've been to, how many hundreds of thousands I've spent. I cannot tell you how many books I've read and how many times I've really had to search deeply for these answers. But there was this deep knowingness that showed up out of that. I mean, just the quiet times when I could get really still. And I just knew, like, deeply that there is something here that I know deep on the inside of my soul that matters most, and that there is a piece of life here that I am meant to teach to thousands of women throughout the world. And there is something about life here that I've learned from all of these lessons, from all of these, from this major transformation, this like deep inner shift inside of me that is my life's work. It's like my life's work kind of just was born out of that space. And I know that I'm meant to share that with, like I said, everyone, every woman that is open to hear it and listen. And maybe the path that you're going on isn't been serving your best interest. Maybe you are going through a similar path. Maybe you're not really sure what's next for you. But I will tell you that I have created a blueprint. I've actually sat down and just not only like I said, studied and intensely and, taken a ton of classes and, read the books, but I know for sure that you can get to a place in your life where you can feel the love that you're looking for, that you can feel and be adored the way that you deserve, that you can literally just like come to a place of knowing that you're good enough, that you're more than enough, exactly the way that you are, and that there isn't any way or anybody or anything that can take that from you. And that's a beautiful place to live life from. And I want that for everyone. I want that for everybody that I care about, everybody that I love. And my husband's calling me, so I will call him right back. Let me call you right back. Let me just turn that off so we don't get interrupted again, because he'll likely call me back. So then what I know is that you can have this. I love the topic. I love learning about this. I love taking what I've learned to help folks, to forge partnerships that are filled with accountability, with choice, that you're able to really connect with yourself in a deep way. You can overcome the resistance and get some more compassion in the mix, and that you can, offer more space and receive more space and maintain more connection and have more clarity in your life, and that you can have more honoring, that you can have some courage to be more authentic, that you can really set yourself up for success and set your partner up for success. These are things that I am committed to. Like I have like dedicated my life to helping folks to understanding and knowing how to create more of that for themselves. It's who I am. It's what I was like born to what I'm born to serve with and what I'm born to give. And I cannot wait to give you some of the offerings that are available for you. For anyone who is looking to be, to feel more loved, to feel good enough, to feel like they can change it up, they can get their relationship to finally work, that they can find that source of love from within, they can see their family life change the way they know that it needs to, they can finally get the peace, and within that we know we must have to truly be able to create it, like, as within, so without kind of thing. We just kind of know instinctively that we've got to change it here before we can ever get what we want beyond ourselves. And I just want you to know that I live the most magical life today. I love my life. I feel like I'm just living in a state of peace. I feel it every day, like all day. And it's been years and years, like decade plus, creating deeply meaningful connections with with loved ones. Love my marriage. I love being a mom. I have a magnificent family, amazing daughters. I adore my grandchildren, and we are building a legacy that will last far beyond my years. For those of you that don't know, I was recently diagnosed with breast cancer, and I may have years to go. Maybe time is short. What I know is we all deserve support. We all deserve to be supported in the journey. And that's what I'm here for. And I just cannot wait to see you get the support that you deserve to have. Your whole life can change as soon as you change the beliefs that you have about yourself, and that you're willing to take yourself to that next level because of your willingness to commit to what does work instead of kind of keep spinning. And if you're already to handle this on your own, awesome. Problem is it hasn't happened yet, so what does that tell us? Probably need some help, probably need some support, probably need to reach out and get some some guidance, some encouragement, some of the best morsels from research, from there's just so much available to us if we're willing to go the distance. So it looks like I'm about to be interrupted by my little one, so I'm going to call it good for now. This has been my joy to share. I'd love to have you come hang out with us in Happy Homes and Hearts group here on Facebook. Incredible group that is here just to serve you on the deep levels that you deserve to be served at, to give you some great reminders about what it takes to really show up not only for yourself, but for those that you love. And I'm so excited that Michelle's here, and Monique, thank you so much. I'm using this like Lightstream app, so I'm like, wow, I can see your comments. How exciting. So anyway, thank you so much for being here. I know this message is meant to reach many, and I'm so excited to have you considering someone in your life. If you would, if you just think of someone that could really use this message right now and share that with them, you can grab the URL, pop it in their inbox. Always gives folks a chance to hear a message that they are ready to hear and really help support them in getting what they're needing so they can stop feeling so alone, stop feeling so like they're, they don't have what they need. And she's knocking. This is a good sign. But I will head. Thank you so much for this incredible opportunity to share, and I look forward to connecting more soon. Have a beautiful night. Thanks again. Take care. Bye-bye.